Lesson 5. The Faerie Spire. Now we learn of the first trees turned into buildings by the altar loom. You've all played on platforms in oak and such trees, but this one was 100 feet tall, with platforms larger than most houses. Atop one of these, the knights met someone who would help them on their quest.
The towering tree building looked like it had been grown and shaped for a purpose, like docks rising up above the canopy. This mysterious structure was festooned with odd blue growths. The gods only knew if they were dangerous or safe. Better to treat them with respect. Judging from its height and the lay of the land, the knights judged the visibility from the top would be excellent. Unfortunately, there were two monstrous insects, one at the base and one at the top. Suddenly, a high-pitched squeal came from above. Someone was up there, about to be eaten by a giant praying mantis. Galindo and Rook had snuck ahead, so they raced up the steps. Don Arturo found treasure whilst exploring around the base of the tree, a sky-fallen feather. It was a large teal feather, warm to the touch, rumoured to fall from sky spirits and quite valuable.
Tempest! Come here, boy!
Felix, with an ever larger Tempest by his side, attacked a mantis and inflicted heavy damage. Tempest launched his own attack, but the wounded mantis was still extremely dangerous and downed Felix's faithful companion with a single blow from his exoskeletal arm.
No!
The mantis then attacked Felix, but the knight, enraged at Tempest's fate, cut it down with a tremendous strike. Meanwhile, young recruit Iago took some ironbark powder to increase his toughness. Alfonso remained close to his master's friend Don Arturo, and Dankworth found a potion of Fireheart Green.
Oi! Look what I found!
Iago disturbed a bush and was set upon by a swarm of insects. Hundreds of bloodthirsty bugs crept out of the roots and attacked him. Galindo and Rook continued their ascent. Galindo breathed deeply as his mighty thighs pumped. Don Arturo sped to Iago's aid. Felix and Dankworth spent some time exploring, and the young squire found a broken silver-tipped arrow. Snapped clean in half, the shaft was made from pale hardwood, and the silvered head glinted despite the dirt around it. Whatever it had struck was tough enough to shatter the arrow rather than let it pass. With Arturo's help, Iago was able to fend off the stings of the insect swarm. Alfonso moved over to Felix to help him explore. As Felix searched, he triggered a trap. A pile of leaves covered the skeleton of a thief who had thought of himself as persecuted in life. His spirit had left behind a lingering greed in the form of a grasping, clawed hand. Fortunately, the burly knight managed to dodge out of the way. Galindo, on arriving at the summit of the tree, spied the ferocious mantis attacking a small woman with wings like a butterfly. Expecting a tough battle, he quickly drank a potion of toughness. Rook followed closely behind, in support of his master's friend, and Iago raced up the tree stairs. Amongst a mass of vines, Felix found what looked like rusted gear, but thanks to his armory knowledge, he recognized it as valuable.
I wonder...
A strong wind whipped up, making any ranged attacks much more difficult. Galindo launched himself at the giant praying mantis and inflicted a wound. He shoved the mantis backward to allow Rook a clear shot, but a gust took the arrow wide. On the first tree platform, Iago found a moonshadow acorn. It was dark as night, but glowed with soft purple swirls when held. The acorn magically imparted knowledge of ancient lore. Felix remained vigilant on the ground, anticipating trouble and swirling his sword. The giant mantis struck back at Galindo, and its razor-like arms laid open a nasty wound. Dankworth also started to ascend the tree. Another trap. A giant branch fell on Alfonso, who was not fast enough to dodge. The hound yelped in pain, before realizing it was only an illusion. What strange magic was afoot here? Galindo assailed the praying mantis once more, but was again slashed by the giant insect. He couldn't take much more of this. Fortunately, Rook rushed in, and with expert precision, sunk his blade into the mantis's eye, killing it. Iago and Dankworth both continued their climb up the tree, whilst Felix ordered Don Arturo and Alfonso to remain close to the base at ground level, still sensing trouble. Razor leaf are innocuous-looking plants with razor-sharp leaves that slice anyone coming into contact with them. Unfortunately, Alfonso ran into some, and he succumbed in Redhollow once more.
I wouldn't touch that if I were you.
What? What voice is that?
A mere fae am I, trapped by the sweet smell of the flower, probably to my doom. But you can avoid my fate. Do not touch the blue baubles.
Who are you? Ah, you're trapped, you say?
Aye, lad. I was enchanted by the scent wafting on the breeze. A foolish fairy. Yeah, you'd think I, with all my knowledge of the woods and its dangerous ways, would have been a wee bit wiser.
Aha! Well, don't go giving up so quick, Faerie. We can cut you down. Watch where you're going, boys. Don't disturb the blue bulbs.
Well, that was bleeding unpleasant. But count me jammy to have been freed by... What are you now? Adventurers. Human adventurers, it seems.
Better. We are nicely and company.
I am Sir Galindo de la Espiga.
And
Grand!
my friend is Sir Felix Lorenz.
Is that your man down there?
Aye. We are honored to make your acquaintance, miss.
You may call me Tharsis, good night.
Well, you are free now, Tharsis. Though it occurs to me, I heard you say that you know much about these forests, no?
Oh, aye.
Then would you mind illuminating what this structure is?
I ken that you mean more than a tree, my lord. This here be one of the adrift, so they're called.
Adrift?
In short, the Altaloom, the High Elves, for many a long year enlightened and awaked the spirits of trees, guiding them to grow in certain ways. But after the fire came down, those trees what survived are no longer guided. They're adrift.
Really?
This is one of those, the adrift. It was once a skyport, used for docking the Altaloom skyships. Now it no longer knows its purpose. Unguided by elves, it slowly falls back into its slumber. It doesn't grow a new large canopy because it's trying to appeal to gardeners who no longer exist. That is also why it sprouts strange bulbous growths and weird glowing grasses. In time, this adrift spirit will sink deep within its heartwood and become like other trees. Sure, that's if it survives. Then it will return to a more natural state. The platforms will crack and warp. The fungus and grasses will fall off, and a grand canopy will reach for the light and drink the rain. But that will take generations of your kind to happen.
The Outerlom, you say? Like Prince Davish?
No. He's angry and can see little but his rage.
What's a shamanic cult, if you'll indulge me, Faerie?
Flatterer. They're dwellers in ash, returned after the fire but unwilling to rebuild, only focused on revenge. I'd avoid them.
Even with a gift of a golden leaf, the prince barely tolerated our presence. He certainly offered nothing. Not to her.
As is his way.
Well, then we can ignore him. Say, we have been taking a beating in these encounters. What we're looking for is...
The library.
Aye, the library. Do you know where it is? Could you help us find it?
Aye and nay. No and yes. For you see, the dead library is a ghost. Destroyed by the fire, but returning to the world once a year in different places. I directed some other humans to its next appearance once. Don't know if they survived. Within the library are many maps and books.
Haha, excelente!
Written by the living, but can only be read by the dead.
So, if you can kindly direct us to the next appearance, we would need to convince the ghost librarians to read for us, no?
For freeing me and trying to calm the prince, I'll aid you.
Felix will be happy to hear this. Come, let me introduce you.
A horrible buzz filled the air all around as 7 giant wasps and a hell wasp arrived, closing in on the tree. From the top of the tree, Galindo launched a fireball at 2 giant wasps, once again empowering his magic to strengthen the attack. One was killed outright, but the other managed to avoid the worst of the fire and was only singed. Don Arturo swung his blade at a giant wasp and inflicted a huge blow, but not enough to kill it. Felix showed him how it's done, killing another giant wasp with a frenzied attack. Rook fired an arrow at the singed wasp, but missed. The wounded giant wasp attacked Don Arturo, but was killed. Another wasp attacked the big blonde knight, and its sting found a gap in his plate mail, causing a hefty wound. The hell wasp spat venom at Felix, who evaded the attack thanks to his talent of deflecting missiles. Another wasp attacked Felix, but the stout warrior was ready, his blade opening a large gash on its striped belly before the knight shoved it away. Iago ran down towards Dankworth to assist his fight against the giant wasp, and Dankworth scored a hit on the surrounded wasp. Shrike-roots attacked Felix. Shrike-root is a largely underground plant, apart from small ground-hugging flowers, which on close inspection look like tiny mouths. Vibrations from above trigger tough pointed roots, which burst through the surface to impale whatever unfortunate is standing there. Victims are then consumed by the mouth flowers. Felix rolled with the punches though, reducing the damage. Galindo used a magic item, his fireball orb, at the hell wasp. The flames severely damaged the insect, burning its wings. Iago attacked the surrounded wasp, but his inexperience showed and he took a big hit. Dankworth whacked at it also, but the buzzing wasp anticipated that too, and the squire received a flesh wound. Felix struck his blade at a giant wasp, but it hovered aside and pierced him with its stinger. Angered, Felix used his flashing blade and landed a critical hit, the giant wasp falling to the ground in 2 separate pieces. The giant wasp attacked Iago, but this time the young recruit dodged the stinger. The hell wasp spat again at Felix, but its venom fired wide, thanks to the knight's bright armor temporarily blinding the vicious insect. Another giant wasp launched an attack at Felix, but was felled by an impressive blow. Don Arturo, already suffering from a nasty sting, was downed by another giant wasp attack. That wasp was then killed, as Rook's arrow flew true to its target this time. Felix's combat maneuvers disturbed an insect nest, who swarmed toward him. Searching the tree, Galindo found some dried meat, just rubbish. Iago attacked the giant wasp, but was unable to land a hit. Dankworth also attacked, but was bested, and took a big gash to the shoulder. Felix stomped his heavy boots on the insect swarm, killing it, and then advanced on the hell wasp. The giant wasp attacked Dankworth, sensing the squire was weakening, but Dankworth stepped aside and cut down the foul insect. The hell wasp angrily launched itself at Felix, but the knight anticipated the attack and killed the giant insect with a staggering strike of his blade. Searching the enormous tree, Rook found a burnt cloak fragment, more rubbish. Felix checked Tempest, who was merely stunned. "Tough old boy," Felix said. The firehound made a full recovery as usual. Galindo's side fared less well. The faithful hound Alfonso lost an eye, but refused to leave his master's side. The knight-errant Don Arturo suffered a crushed arm. It was his shield arm though, so for now he could continue. With this latest round of injuries, Felix considered suggesting a new tactical deployment of the company. Felix cleaned up the magical light armor of blocking and offered it to Galindo. Galindo introduced Tharsis to Felix. As the company marched back to Lungathid, Tharsis fluttered alongside, and together they formed a plan to find and visit the Library of the Dead.
With the help of Tharsis the Fae, the knights and their company learned where the Library of the Dead would appear next. This adventure also revealed a bit more of the forest's secrets. Thank you, goodbye, and come back soon for more Tales of Redhollow.